Aloha guys, this is Crash with Radar Contact. Today we wanted to quickly go over this right side of the screen here, kind of talk just basically about what you're seeing, how to change a few things, so make your life a little bit easier as we move along. Before we go any further, if you'd like to click the like button if this video helps you and possibly subscribe to see future videos, feel free. Alright, so let's go ahead and start at the top here. You've got this box here that says selected item, which is one separate box, and then the box below it here is your overview. You can see right here it says overview. This is technically the top left part of the box. Here we have a little hamburger. We call this the command box, I guess. So let's quickly go over this and talk about what this is showing and what it does. So right here it just tells you where you're at, the station that we're at. No big deal there. The first one here is the command approach. So if you want to go towards something, move towards something, you can either click this as well as the item, or you can press Q and then it does the same thing. The next one here is going to be your warp to button. You've got the shortcut for the S. So if you want to warp to something, you can click it and then press S. You'll warp to within whatever range you have set default. Even though this is grayed out right now, we can still right click it and set we can set 10 kilometers. So let's try that out real quick. So if you notice I put 10,000, it shows you if you read the text, it's everything's in meters. So 10,000 meters is the same as 10 kilometers. So when we click OK, it'll change. So now when we hover over this, it says warp to within 10 kilometers. So anytime you want to go somewhere, if you don't want to go all the way to 0, you can set this to 10 and then click on whatever item you want and it'll warp you to 10 kilometers instead of 0 if that's what you have set. Moving on, we've got the button here which is dock, and that is a shortcut key D as in Delta. So again, if you wanted to dock here in AFI, you could just click AFI and then press D and it would automatically dock. You don't have to click this button. You don't have to right click this and click dock if you don't want to. You can just click it and press D. Next thing on the list is our orbit. It's very similar to the warp to and also the keep at range, as far as you can click it and change what the default orbit distance is. So if you're fighting somebody and your ship has an optimal range of say 5,000 meters, you could click this, go 5,000 meters, which is the same as 5 kilometers. And now when you orbit over this, it shows you 5,000 meters. So when you go to target your ship or whatever the case may be, you just click orbit and it'll try to keep you within the optimal range. This is something you'll have to play around with in time to kind of figure out how it works for each ship depending on what you have fit and whatnot. Alright, moving along, you've got the keep at range command here, and it is grayed out as well at the moment, but you can right click on it, do the same thing, set default keep at range distance. So we'll say 2,000 meters. For what we do a lot of times here in AFI specifically, we're trying to keep it range to somebody so that we can open up a cargo hold or a container or something of that nature. So keeping range is really nice, especially if you want to follow the orca around for some reason, or follow something, keep away from a rock, whatever the case may be. Keep it range comes in pretty handy for that type of thing. Next here you have lock target, which is pretty simple. It's just the same thing as right clicking and clicking lock target, which is really nothing to do right now, but the shortcut is control for a lock target. So instead of having to manually click everything and then right click and then click lock target, you can just click the ship that you're wanting to target, or the ore, the minerals, whatever it is, and then press control and it'll begin to lock that target immediately just by pressing control. The next thing here is look at, and that just allows you to look at different things in space. So you can press Alt instead of having to click this each time. So for instance, if we wanted to look at where Jokery is, we should be able to click it and then press Alt, and it shows us where it's at. Chanon's the same way, same thing. So over there, we can look at, let's see what else here. This Athanor. It just looks in the direction of the Athanor. And if you want to stop looking at something, all you have to do is click in space while you press Alt. And then it'll go back to your ship there. So that's what the look at does. Track allows you to track things. So let's, I don't know if we have anything we can really do here. Pebble, let's see which we can do. Track. See, so it's kind of the same, but it'll actually track it instead of just look at it. Show info will give us information on whatever it is we're looking at. So let's click this station here. You can either click this icon or you can press the letter T for the shortcut. So click and then press T. Alright, there it is. It shows us a little bit about what we have currently selected. I use this a lot when I'm identifying wormholes as I'm flying up to it before we even stop. For instance, I'll click the wormhole, press T, and start getting information about it as quick as we can. And that's more or less what the command prompt does. Alright, so now let's talk about the overview a little bit. The overview can be very detailed. I am not an expert on this, and I'm going to try and do my best to tell you what I know about it. And anybody else that has any additional information hopefully can set us straight down the road. So we'll just kind of start from top to bottom, go through each individual thing, and I'll tell you what I can about it. So first off, we've got the overview tab at the top, the hamburger. Once we click it, let's see if we can do this. You have the Add tab, Show all brackets, Hide all brackets, and then the Open overview settings. So the Add tab simply just adds a tab to what you currently have. So we have General Mining and Warp 2. Alright, so if we wanted to add, let's say, moons to our overview for some reason, we could click Add tab, type in moons, and now the new tab here says moons. We can click it. Currently nothing changes because we haven't modified it in any way, so we'll have to go in and modify it in a second. So before we go that far, let's continue with what's next. So you've got the Show all brackets and Hide all brackets. All that is doing is showing you these different brackets that are around these items in space. And when we turn them off, you'll see they'll disappear. So all these out here will all disappear. So the brackets disappear. If you want them back on, you just click Show all brackets. So a lot of times you won't be able to see maybe your friends in space or different things, and the reason why is because you need to turn Show all brackets on. Alright, so next we'll go into overview settings. So now you'll see where we had created our moons tab earlier. This is where we're going to start to modify it. So we wanted to see moons. These are the current tabs that are set in here. These are the general tabs that just come with it, and nobody set anything up. So there is no moons tab in here. We'll have to adjust that in a little bit. If you want to add more tabs, you can do it here. We can name this one, we'll just call it 1. We'll say drones, and you can keep going. Now if you look over here on the right, you'll see it says 1 and nothing found because there's no drones currently out. So now we're going to get rid of these and just keep the moons one for now. So now we can go to tab presets. This is where you can adjust what you wanted. So we want moons. So we don't want NPCs. We don't want any of this stuff. So we're going to deselect all on each tab. We don't want structures. We don't want ships. We don't want NPCs. Any of this. You can also deselect all down here if you want as well. So we'll go ahead and deselect all, and then you could select all if you want. And then right here we're going to type in moons. Alright, so now that we clicked moon here, you can see that all moons and only moons are showing in our moons tab. So that's exactly what we wanted. So now we can click save if we want. We can also click states and tell it what we want it to do here as far as what we want to see, what we don't want to see, and this is something you'll have to play around with later. I'm not going to get into this today. At this point we can click save, and we'll call it moons. So now if we look back over here, we've got our moons tab that we created. We've now created an additional tab called moons, and that's a new thing that wasn't there before. Alright, so we finished this page. We'll continue on to appearance. So here in appearance you can change the way things look in the game as far as how players show up. If you want to see them blink in red, if you want to see them blink in purple or pink or whatever you want, you can change all sorts of different things here with what you want available in your overview and how you want it displayed. So you've got a color tag tab here, and it shows you the things you're used to seeing maybe in your local chat, and then the background, which would maybe show up over on your overview setting here behind as a background color to whatever you have set. Columns, so this allows you to change what's in your overview. So right now we have this right here, which is the icon block. We have distance. We have names, types, velocities. So you can see it's the same thing here. Icon, distance, name, type, velocity. If you wanted to change this, you could add different things, say corporation, we could add size. There's the different sizes now. Angular velocity, transversal, radial velocity. For when you're doing PvP maybe, you can see all that stuff if that's how you have it added. And that's what the columns is for. States, this allows you to change the way your ship, let's see, we'll get here closer to the Orca. So you can see here when I hover my mouse over the Orca, it shows what the ship is, the corp ticker RC for radar contact, and it shows the pilot's name, Crash Jericho. And that's what this is showing here. Ship type, short name for Alliance, corp ticker, which is RC, and pilot name Crash Jericho. So you can change things. You can make the names bold, italics, underline. You can change the font sizes. You can change colors so that maybe the name Crash Jericho shows up in green or blue or whatever color, and then the ship type shows up in whatever color you want for that. However you want to do it. That's what this box is for here. Next, we'll go to miscellaneous, and this is where I really wanted to talk to you guys about the overview and how to set it up and how to import and export it so that you have different ones that are already made out. Other players have been using them for years, and how to set this up. So let's get into this real quick. So the main thing, anytime you're importing an overview, is that you want to reset all overview settings. So right now we've got general mining warp to moons. So we're going to reset all overview settings. It's going to put everything back to standard in the game. So we'll click it. Reset overview settings. Are you sure you want to reset all overview settings to their defaults? Yes. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to go in and actually we're not going to go in there. So I have put two things aside here. So I put a PvP overview and a mining overview that I typically use. So first we'll click PvP overview. It's going to ask you, do you want to load the overview profile? You can click yes. before you do this, if you have anything set up over in your overview that you just absolutely love, you need to go save it first. So to save it, you need to go back to your Open Overview settings, Export Overview settings, and then name whatever you have here. We'll call it Player One Overview. And then you click Export. At that point, it's saved. Anytime you want to, you can click Import Overview Setting. You can click on Player One Overview, and this exact overview that's currently set up will be there for you. So make sure you save your overview, otherwise you're going to lose it and you'll have to rebuild it again. So let's go to the mining overview, for instance. So again, we'll reset all tabs. We'll come back in. Actually, we've got it over here. So we'll go to mining overview. Load overview profile, same as before, yes. And again, now we have a whole new set of tabs here. So you don't have to constantly switch back and forth. You can save and export and import to make things easier. So the first one's the same as our other PvP tab, travel with bad guys. This one is going to show any ore that's in the system, and then this tab we have it set so that it only shows Veldspar. This one only shows Pyroxiers, Kernite, Scordite. Then there's a miscellaneous tab and an alt tab. This is the same as your warp alt tab. So that's the mining overview. Now if you wanted to share these, which is how I got them up here, you could go Open Overview Settings, then you would click Export, and then you would name it right here whatever you wanted to name it. So in this case we want mining overview because that's what it is. All we do then is take it, drag it, put it in a chat. It shows up as mining overview. Hit enter, and now somebody can click on your mining overview tab and set the tab. Alright, so now we've gone back to the PvP overview that we were using a minute ago. Now I want to talk quickly about how the overview works with the directional scanner. So this is a directional scanner. This shows you what is currently in space around you within 14.3 AU. If you click this, it converts 14.3 AU to kilometers, which is a lot. I always keep it on the AU. You can change around you how if it's showing a big giant circle around you, or if you want to just scan certain degrees. And I can try and show you that here with the map. So here we are, just pressed F9 to get back into our map. This is the circle showing you right now 14.3 AU around you. Takes up most of the system, kind of missing some of this over here, so if you had somebody in this part of the system you wouldn't know it right now because you're not scanning that. You're only scanning what's inside this bubble, which is the 14.3 AU ring. So if we wanted to see less for some reason, we can adjust. Now it's a half moon ring and we're only scanning what's inside the green circle. Again, you can get it into more of a cone and start pinpointing things, and that's what that does. Alright, so now that we're back out of the map, I want to talk about how the overview works specifically. So depending on what tab you have selected up here, that's what's going to show inside your directional scanner. So for instance, right now we've got this PvP tab selected. We've got 14.3 AU and 360 degrees in a circle. So it is showing me everything that is currently on that tab. So I've got buildings, and I've also got ships that are set up on this tab, all sorts of different things, so it's showing me all sorts of different things. The clean tab is only for ships, so only ships will show up here, which means that when I click this, only ships will show up in here. And as you can see, there's only different types of ships. We've got a whole bunch of Ishtars, Vector Navy Issue, Proteus, and then some NPCs here. If we click all and click scan, it's going to show us anything and everything that's within 14.3 AUs of us, which is a lot of stuff. There's a whole bunch of ogres. Looks like somebody's doing some PvE. The Ishtars, anything and everything that is within 14.3 AUs of us. So when you're scanning for just bad guys, you got to make sure what you're looking for. Drones, if we do drones and click scan, it's just going to scan for drones. And here are all the drones within 14.3 AU of us right now. Warp out, again, it's not a big deal. It's just got a bunch of moons and planets here. Probably never going to use it for that, but there you go. Moons and planets show up, asteroid belts, things of that nature. So the main key point to take away from this is whatever tab you have selected and however you have that tab set up is what shows up on your D-scan when you're doing D-scan. This is really important when you go into wormholes and you're in nullsec. Use your D-scan every 10 seconds. So high sec, it's not such a big deal right now. All right, last but not least, I just want to show you guys where I got some of these these overviews from. They're not mine. I've taken most of the ones that other people have built and shared on this overview list here. This is a channel. It's called Overview List. You can go to it. It's also in our corporation bulletins. And you can play around with some of these people's overviews and make it your own, or take the one that we've built and make it your own. But this is essentially the channel where I got my overviews from. So thank you guys for watching again. If you have any questions, please let me know. And fly dangerous.